Hall of Famer Cris Carter breaks down what happened to Shedeur Sanders during the NFL draft. Let's hear his take on it.
I can't say anymore. I'm probably already in trouble for mentioning it to we call you normies.
So most of you know who Cris Carter is. He needs no introduction. The Hall of Fame legendary wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, him and his co-host, Sean Mikey, was on the Fully Loaded podcast a few days ago, and he had a particular take about why Shedeur Sanders slid so far down in the NFL draft. Most of the people that are on their draft boards, their fantasy boards, had Shedeur Sanders going in the first round, some going number 1 in the draft, and he went so far down. You know about the prank call and all that. That was very unfortunate and distasteful. But a lot of people had their own opinions. Matter of fact, Boomer Esiason of CBS had his opinion about what happened to Shedeur Sanders. There's a quick clip from that.
They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said, take him off. I don't want that guy. Shedeur Sanders just torpedoed himself. His attitude off the field at the combine, his dad didn't help him either. You know, he was on podcast talking about, this is my son. If I can get him to where I want to get him to, I'm going to do that. But, you know, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself. And I think he was very off-putting to many, many coaches and general managers in the league. And I'm telling you right now, and I know this after talking to 3 different personnel people in the NFL this weekend, they didn't even have him on their board. They took him off. And they took him off because the owner said, take him off. I don't want that guy. I don't want this entitled person on our team. And I don't blame him.
So you heard that. He's saying that the owners, NFL owners and GMs and stuff like that, they all colluded to have Shedeur Sanders taken down a few notches for basically being arrogant. So Cris Carter has his take. He doesn't believe it was collusion at all. And you might agree with his take, you might agree with Boomer, but let's hear what Cris had to say, his opinion about this whole debacle, this situation. Of course, this is on YouTube, but I found this clip on X, so I'll leave a link to both of these in the description box. For all of you, stop playing the video ninjas. For all of you, stop pausing the video and you talk too much ninjas.
Get out! Get out! Get the stepping!
You can find the link in the description box and you can watch this without my commentary or criticism and interruption. If you're still here, thank you very much for your viewership and fair use.
All right, so what happened with Shedeur Sanders?
Well, a number of things happened. The number one thing that didn't happen was there was not a collusion message with the NFL owners.
Okay, what? Okay, a lot of people think that.
Because they wouldn't be able to keep a secret like that. And
so they might do it, but they couldn't shut up about it.
They wouldn't be able to shut up about it. But every owner is very, very selfish. Now, why would I do something to my detriment? Like if I need a quarterback and I think this kid is it, what he didn't realize is the guys that have fallen in the draft before, they all had unusual traits. Like they had some superstar qualities to them. Now, some other things happened that made them fall, but Shedeur and his family, they overplayed their hand.
Now, overplayed their hand. You might be thinking, what, Cris, are you talking about? How did they overplay their hand? Well, for starters, like he said, he doesn't believe that there was collusion. Most of the guys that fall in the draft, there's something about them that the either owners or the coaches, the recruiters, there's something about them that just they couldn't jive with. This just wasn't going to be a good fit for their team or the makeup or the scheme or whatever it is that has to do with their team that will make them successful. So now he's going to get into the meat of how his family and probably mainly Deion Sanders, his father, helped to sabotage, maybe unknowingly, his draft stock.
Them thinking that he was in the same evaluation mode as Eli Manning, they didn't play that right. Them trying to narrow the teams that he was going to go to, that didn't do right. Not working out the combine, that wasn't the right thing. His interview process, obviously he could have done a lot better in that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people left that meeting, felt he was very, very entitled.
Which
For just $5 a month, please consider becoming a member of Welcome to Normanville. There you will find access to members-only videos and members-only live streams, as well as a host of other perks. Thank you for your consideration. Back to the video. Now, real quick, most of you that watch football might also follow, the NBA. And what you understand, what happened with Bronny James, how they, like he said, tried to minimize the number of teams that he was going to go to. Basically, Chris Paul and LeBron together in tandem wanted Bronny to go to the Lakers. So they put out certain messages and certain, propaganda, if you will, to ensure that this happened. And so they were essentially stonewalling or deboing everybody into saying, this the team he's going to go to, so nobody else pick him. And essentially that's what happened. Well, he's saying that Deion tried to do the same thing, but it didn't work. It actually said, okay, well, if you're going to do this, then we're all collectively just not going to pick him at all. And so also, he didn't go to the combine. I don't know if it's because the teams didn't want him there or he didn't attend for his own selfish reasons, but he didn't go to the combine. He had his own at a separate stadium, and he also filmed it on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. So that was also kind of a bad rub, if you will, for the league. And yeah, there was some other stuff I saw where he's already calling himself legendary and things like that. So there was a lot of things in there that people, in the NFL's defense, they didn't like about him maybe. Was that on purpose? No, on Shedeur's part? No, he's a young man. He can label himself however he wants, and he can act however he wants. But his dad is Deion. I think maybe he took some cues from his dad, plus how he already is as an individual. Maybe it didn't pan out in a good way.
to meet, because they said Brian DeBall, the Giants coach, had said he didn't like the meeting. He asked him, he had some book, was his playbook or something he was supposed to know, and he said he felt weird about it. I don't know who else said they didn't like the meeting with him. Or were just people behind the scenes saying they did?
Well, the thing about it, they didn't draft him.
I know that.
So it's not the tape. And he likes guys to be a little more open before he lets it go. And he doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a big guy. He's not overly athletic. Mm-hmm. So his measurables are not, say, first-round measurables. But he played football like a first-rounder.
But his tape's first-round tape. But his measurables are not first-round measurables.
Well, you don't play football all the time. You're a human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room, how he already came up with this line of merchandise, legendary, like he's already calling himself legendary. All those things are problems. Right now, he's working check to check, man. Like,
now, he also mentioned something about the Mannings and how his size and things like that. Now, again, there's other quarterbacks that have, went down the draft and they turned out to be, superstars. I mean, take Tom Brady, for example. That's like probably the best example, I would say, right? He went down the draft and maybe his measurables, his 40 was, they said was horrible and other things. I mean, he didn't pan out in the beginning to be, nobody saw that diamond in the rough, right? And then, Drew Bledsoe, that happened and Tom Brady takes the field and never comes off, right? And so you don't know how it's going to turn out. And maybe Shedeur could be a good quarterback if he lasts all the way up until, regular season and he stays on the roster. There are some things there that they already got a couple quarterbacks. They got Flacco, they got Deshaun, so I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know if they got a third string guy. Will that be Shedeur? But in any case, Shedeur could turn out to be a diamond in the rough. You never know. But they're also saying that those things that he already has against him with attitude and the branding and, the arrogance and things of that nature, it's not a good look for him in the beginning, but it could turn out to be great. But I don't know if they're going to take a chance on that. The Browns in particular, and it looks like the rest of the league didn't want to take a chance on that.
he's not going to get a big signing bonus. There's not going to be a big guarantee. Any day they want to get rid of him in the week, they can get rid of him.
He does. Don't we think Shedeur is smart enough to know he's not at Jackson State and he's not at Colorado?
No.
You don't think so?
I listened to too many of his answers. I saw too many of the outtakes. I saw too many times he was working out with other players, and he said things that I thought were highly questionable for my franchise quarterback.
So like what?
When he was working out with Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward, the number one pick.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to cut a rap video together? No, I want to be known as a football player.
And he's like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I play football.
Why wouldn't you sit down with people? And something these kids never understand, even if you're a top 10 pick, you're in the NFL for a long time.
Yeah.
So your interview, your tape, people in the room that see you, someone can like you in the room. They might not draft you 5-10 years later, man.
You're looking for a guy, you're looking to trade, and they remember your interview.
Yes.
The interview you had.
It's a small world. This whole thing with Dion and the media and everything, like it's out of control. Like it did not help him. It helped him make money in college because he got followers, but it actually hurt him as far as him getting a job as an NFL quarterback.
Now, again, remember Bronny, remember also what happened with the Ball brothers. Remember his son, he tried to get him to the Lakers. Remember that happened with, it wasn't LeVar. It was, I forget his name. It's slipping my mind. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That whole deal when he came out of college, how he was talking about he was going to go to the Lakers and all that, how he branded with his shoes and how his dad was so arrogant and all that, even though his son was humble. But you understand how that worked out, right? So the whole family dynamic with these parents being very aggressive with where they want their child to go or their son to go, and how they're able to kind of manipulate the media, the organizations, that worked out for some. And I don't think it worked out very well for Shedeur. Okay. And so, Lonzo, that's his name. But like I said, the way it worked, it didn't turn out very well for Shedeur. So, I mean, this could be a cautionary tale.
You mean as Shedeur, his social media stuff with Shedeur?
Yes.
It hurt him.
Yeah. What else hurt him?
I know you've
let me tell you what he understands today.
Okay.
He ain't running shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. They taught him a great lesson.
Okay.
Like, you don't have this figured out. Your dad don't have this figured out.
Who's they?
Whoa. You don't run shit. He did figure that out really fast. That, you know what? For all the hype that you had, you are at the bottom of the totem pole. You're a rookie. Matter of fact, you're not even a rookie. You're trying to get on the roster. You're trying to get signed. And so in that respect, his whole family was brought down a few pegs, I believe, but in particular Shedeur, which again, to me, he didn't do any of this on purpose, I think. Just like, Lonzo, just like Bronny, they were a casualty of their family's legacy. They were a casualty of their parents. They were a casualty of the media. And so I don't think Shedeur necessarily was doing this out of his personal individual self. I don't think he was doing this on purpose to hurt himself, but essentially all these factors together, that's what happened. So I don't think he did this on purpose. He ended up being a casualty of all the other factors around him coming to this point.
NFL,
Shedeur?
the world. No, who taught you? Said they taught him. I'm just curious.
Well, the system.
The system. Okay,
There's a system out there, man.
Okay.
Like, you're going for a job interview. So for his job interview, he was so concerned about, what his outfit was. His necklace was over $100,000. Like, he hadn't even convinced people that you're the.
That's the NIL stuff right there that, coach, legendary coach of Alabama and other people were talking about, Nick Saban. The NIL deals, while I think it's cool that these kids can get money now, it has inflated their egos. It has changed their motivation and their, what they really are going for. Are they going for notoriety and money, or are they actually going to, be a professional? That has changed the game. And for Shedeur, he's right. When he was winning those games in college, he was flashing his ring, his watch around all the time and all that kind of stuff. And I think that could have got to his head too. That's true.
Face of our franchise. Matter of fact, he had convinced people that they were better off going in a different direction, even with people who had lesser talent. That's the rub he put on the people.
If that's the case, that's a bad interview, bro.
No, it is the case. He didn't get drafted right. It's no speculation. Like, we're through the draft. We're through 3 days. He threw away at least $30 to $50 million. At least.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. What do y'all think? Me personally, all those things that Cris said, I believe could have definitely led to his downfall in the draft. I hope that he is able to make a career still out of this in the end. But all those factors together did not help him in the least. So we'll see where this goes. Again, all his sons are in the NFL now. One went to the Browns, one went to the Buccaneers, and so on and so forth. So essentially all three of his sons made it to the NFL, which is great. But Shedeur in particular, which was him and, well, Shedeur was the main importance of this draft because of how low he went. And he was a quarterback. Travis, he's a dual player, a dual threat, cornerback, wide receivers. Hopefully he does well. He looks like he's very motivated. We'll see what happens with Shedeur. This is unfortunate, but it is what it is. He did learn a valuable lesson, and so did his dad to a lesser degree. So with that being said, thank you for taking another episode of Normeville. Let me know what you think about Shedeur and how far he went down the draft. Do you think that it was his fault, or do you think it was a collective of factors? Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section. And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell on your way out of the door. And I will see you on the next video.